Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I just went out and bought some ribeyes. I will be cooking ribeyes. I have a protein consuming machine in my 19-year-old, and anytime, like a lot of times he'll go out and eat with his friends, but the second I tell him that I'm cooking steak, this guy wants to be at home. He wants to be eating at home. I don't take it personally. When I was his age, I wouldn't want to hang out with me either. So now in the group today, we're going to be talking about that Circle IPO, and we're going to talk about the Ripple potential IPO down the road. But I'm going to talk about what I see is about to be set off in crypto IPO market, the crypto market, and all the above. And we're going to learn from history. So go to daixrp.com to join the Patreon. If you would rather join through YouTube, click the join button right below any of my YouTube videos, and you can join through YouTube. Same price, same group. Check out the market. The market is flat. We've got a 217 XRP, kind of boring right now. Here's Tom Lee. He says there's a supply shock coming for Bitcoin. Let's see.
95% of all Bitcoin's been mined, but 95% of the world doesn't own Bitcoin. So I just think that there's still a huge demand versus supply imbalance, meaning there's a lot more potential buyers of Bitcoin over the next 10 years. And so I think there's a lot of upside into year end.
Into your like 150 target?
Yeah, 150, maybe 200, even 250 this year.
What? 150 to 200 to even 250. And what's you don't have a terminal price on that, do you?
Well, it's, I think at a minimum, it should have the same network value as gold. Mm-hmm. And if you look at above ground gold, it's probably 23 trillion. So that would be, 1.2 million for Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin is more valuable than gold. So, Bitcoin could be 2 million, 3 million long term.
I hope it is, because you know what that means for XRP. Here's the CEO of Coinbase. He thinks Bitcoin could be reserve currency of the world. Now, how it's going to do that when it can't move fast, I don't know what he's thinking there, but I have an idea for him.
Money has multiple purposes, right? It's a medium of exchange, which stablecoins is solving beautifully. It's also intended to be a store of value. And right now, democracies around the world are really struggling to get their deficit spending under control. And I think that Bitcoin actually, my crazy little bit out there idea is that I think Bitcoin is going to provide an important check and balance on deficit spending. And if it gets out of control too much, people will flee to it in times of uncertainty. And it could actually end up that Bitcoin is the new reserve currency of the world.
Now, if you can't move it in 3 to 5 seconds the way you can XRP, there's only one solution for that, and that is to put it on the XRP ledger, right?
Which is that if Bitcoin does not become a widely used medium of exchange, then it will fail. So is this the biggest threat Bitcoin faces? And as Bitcoiners, how can
it's called XBTC when you put it on the XRP ledger?
We take action towards this end?
Use it. Spend on it. Because that sounds like a harder statement for most people. I don't think maybe I'm going to start in a different place. There's a whole bunch of Bitcoiners today who are starting to see it as a store of value or a part of a store of value, who 2, 3, 5, 7 years ago couldn't in the wild.
Boy, if it ends that way, they are going to kick and scream. There won't be anything they can do about it, though. John Deaton weighed in on the Ripple SEC, the latest filings.
Settlement by the SEC and Ripple, where the SEC wants the judge to dissolve her injunction against Ripple and reduce the $125 million fine to $50 million. And if the Judge Torres is acceptable with that, agreeable to that, she will, by order, reduce the fine and dissolve the injunction then this case goes away and there's a settlement. And they thought she would probably rubber stamp it, right? It's just one other big case off her desk, and the judge, Torres, threw a curveball. So first of all, you cited the wrong rule. Second of all, you haven't demonstrated to the court that there are exceptional circumstances for me, Judge Torres, who followed the law and issued an injunction, for me to just say, I changed my mind, I'm going to dissolve the injunction. You got to do some effort. You got to show me some stuff, right? You got to meet this high standard. It's actually a high standard of exceptional circumstances. And so she said, come back to me. So I thought, well, shit, right? She's pissed off. For one, look at all the time that she spent on this case, 4.5 years, the amount of hours and resources and money and effort that was expended on this case. And all of a sudden the SEC says, psych, we changed our mind, Judge. We wanted $1.3 billion in a fine. And now we want you to take your $125 million fine and reduce it by 60%. She wants a little bit more. So I thought that the SEC and Ripple would put together a brief that'd be a little bit more than what they did. Now, I'm gonna, at the end of this, I'll tell you, I think she'll grant it like by 70%, but I'm gonna give you a little synopsis of why I think there should have been a better effort from this non-career securities lawyer's attorney who has way less experience than all of these experts, okay? But so first, let's understand what's happening. Ripple has an appeal and the SEC has an appeal. SEC's dropped their appeal. Ripple says they'll drop their appeal to the Second Circuit if you dissolve the injunction and we get back $75 million. I already told you Torres denied it. Now, settlement, exceptional circumstances. Know this. Under the case law, a settlement agreement itself is not enough to meet exceptional circumstances. And I'm going through the brief right now. The judge must basically judge the private interest served by settlement with the public interest of consistency of law, deterrence, what her fine means, what her injunction means. And the Second Circuit many times says exceptional circumstances exist where modifying the final judgment is necessary for the facilitation of settlement that would end the appeals. So understand this. There's enough case law cited in the SEC Ripple brief that allows the judge to give her something to hang her hat on, right? The Second Circuit says, yes, if dissolving the injunction or modifying the final order by the district court, if that's going to facilitate a settlement and drop everything so we can move on to other cases that are pending and save all that money and resources, then go ahead. You can do that. So there is enough there. Now, they also cite several cases. One case.
So anywho, this thing is going to come to a conclusion. They're just going back and forth right now. Now, Christian Carlo, this is from a few months back, but he's calling for the casino phase is going to be over, but the institutional phase, which will make the casino phase look like a joke, is about to start.
And that is the recognition that actually Bitcoin may be ending its early immature phase, what some people call derisively as the casino phase, into a new phase of maturity and mainstream adoption. And the reason for that is, under Biden administration policies, traditional financial players have been kept out of the space. They've been warned to stay out of the space because of the debanking of traditional firms and because of the SEC's warning lawyers and others not to get involved in crypto. And we've seen that now through FOIA requests that have been forward that the FDIC actually warned banks to stay out. All of that is going to be taken away. Trump is going to allow traditional finance to move into the digital asset space. And I think we're going to now see the institutional development of this asset class. Major American financial houses, whether it be the New York Stock Exchange and its owner, ICE, NASDAQ, others, as well as major Wall Street firms, are going to move in a big way. And I think that's going to bring us a real maturization of digital assets. And I think the value proposition now is going to increase dramatically. And I think early investors are seeing that.
And let me translate. You had plenty of time to accumulate as retail this time. Usually it happens in reverse. Old Joseph Lubin, our old buddy Joseph Lubin from ETHgate fame, he went quiet. I believe ETHgate put enough pressure on the SEC that they had to at least make the appearance that they were looking at the Ethereum gang. And during that time, he went quiet. Now he's out talking again. This guy, Tipsy Tiger, called him out. He says, you can tell Lubin is feeling pressure at the moment regarding ETH. I've not seen him post so much in all the time I've been here. He started posting a lot recently because he's finally free to talk the way he likes to talk. And he replied to the guy, he said, hi, Mike. Before Chair Gensler made it unadvisable for us to publicly vocal about what we cared about, because this SEC was conducting an inquisition on Ethereum, mostly in decentralized ecosystem, we were vocal. Now that we are not under attack by the U.S. government, I can speak more freely. It would be great if you would articulate your concerns with Ethereum consensus, decentralized protocols, and/or me, so we can address them. So this guy, Tipsy Tiger, hits him right out of the gate. Said, sure, it's early in the morning here in the UK, but I had some breakfast, so let's get to it. ETH's ICO, you said, and I quote, a person can buy unlimited Ether in with pseudonyms. We may limit the size of a single purchase to make it easier to disguise so that no one is scared. If you plan to invest millions, you can send us an email so it makes it easier to create multiple fake identities. This clearly shows so in other words, he just totally made Joe look like an idiot, because there's no getting around that video that was put out a long time ago. And of course, Joseph Lubin never responded to that, and everybody, writing's on the wall there. Speaking of Joseph Lubin, most of the cartoon monkeys were built on Ethereum, if I'm correct. I've been telling you for years, I won't be buying cartoon monkeys. Glad I didn't. This cartoon monkey was worth $550,000 3 years today. Today it's worth 2 bags of Doritos. I hate to say I called it. China warns stablecoins threaten sovereignty. A new op-ed in China Economic Times paper tied to top policy advisor says stablecoins are cementing the USD dominance and endangering China's monetary control. Folks, I told you crypto was created by governments. 1, to save the US dollar, keep it dominant. 2, to replace the petrodollar system. That's what it was created for. I want to play you this from Riz, Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, Esther George. What do you think she's talking about here? Ripple is the plumbing, folks. Brad Garlinghouse has said it several times.
What difference will this service make? They point to the fact that they have an app on their phone that enables them to pay friends today, anytime. So what context could you provide to us about the difference?
I often hear that. We've become used to saying we can do so many things on our phone, and clearly you now can move money through various services on your phone. And I expect that is going to continue, and it could well proliferate. The things we're talking about today really represent the infrastructure, as Governor Brainerd said in her remarks. This is really the plumbing of the payment system. And so when people are moving money, it may feel like you and I are trading money instantaneously, but the fact is it has to go through the plumbing in a way that may take much longer for those things to actually come out of my account and get into your account. By updating our infrastructure with this kind of a service, we can now realize the full functionality of what real-time payments means. And I think going forward, will only encourage more innovation. It'll be built on a foundation that is much more modern than we have today.
You're darn right it will. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com, the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click the join button below. We're going to talk about that Circle IPO. We're going to talk about Ripple IPO, then a potential Ripple IPO. Then we're going to talk about, we're going to learn a little bit from history, and I'm going to show you some things that are eye-openers about Circle and about what's happened in history, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that and how I think this is all going to what's about to happen. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.